Trump or DeSantis for 2024? Because I like what.
Or who do
Yeah,
I?
if you were a Republican, let me phrase it that way. If you were a Republican, because I don't want to.
Yeah,
Would it be Trump or DeSantis for 2024?
I prefer DeSantis.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
And the reason why I prefer DeSantis is because I think that he and Trump, they share very similar policy. But I think that the delivery that DeSantis delivers is more palatable. See, so like you, I'm not a Trump hater. I actually enjoy and agree with many, albeit not all, but many of Trump's policies. I just really think he needs to work on his delivery because it's not very diplomatic.
Wouldn't it be great to have a Trump merge with an Obama?
Oh, yes. Well, I think that's what DeSantis is.
That's what DeSantis is?
That's my opinion.
If you want to see more videos and interviews like this from influential people in tech, finance, and sports, subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the bell to be alerted. And go a step further and join the YouTube and membership area for early releases of videos like this. I'm out of here.
All right, ladies and gents, it's your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another Kicking It session. I've got a returning guest. It's been like a whole lifetime has passed, it seems like, since I've had Anessa Santos on. She has a practice that's largely dedicated to blockchain and fintech, financial services, helping innovate corporate clients efficiently, navigate them through always evolving regulatory landscapes for securities, commodities, and financial services. A former public defender, she also provides white-collar defense for financial crimes involving money laundering, wire fraud, and unsolicited money transmission of cryptocurrencies. It sounds like you need to be representing Donald Trump, because it sounds like he's got a couple of those in his indictment. Anessa, welcome to the show. How have you been? It's been a while.
Yeah, no, it's been no shortage of entertainment, right?
Speaking of entertainment, I want to start with some non-crypto stuff. So we've got this new, well, I don't know if it's really new. It's not, but this whole trans culture bleeding into the mainstream media and brands. And I know you heard about like Nike and Budweiser, Hershey. I mean, the list goes on and on. Even Gillette, the shaving company for men, primarily. What's your take on what's going on? Like, I don't have a problem with trans people. If that's what you want to do what you want to do. That's not a problem. But I think my issue I'm taking up is that they're trying to push this agenda of maybe 0.1% of the population and normalize it like it's everyone. And it's just simply not. So what's your take on, I call it the 0.1% overtaking the 99.9%. What's your take on all of that?
Yeah, well, if you were a woman, you wouldn't have to put the word trans in front of it to notify everyone. And I agree with you, your body, your choice. And it's none of my business what anybody else wants to do with their body. What is my business, however, is when those people try to tell me what can happen with my body, and when they put me at risk and my daughter at risk and my nieces and my sister and my mother and the other women in my life. We have fought incredibly hard, and I have heard other people suggest this. I agree to a certain extent that I believe that this is just the new male patriarchy. And I'm not having it. I mean, enough is enough. It's incredibly offensive to all of the women out there who have demonstrated such incredible self-discipline to achieve what they have in sports. I mean, I am not an athlete, dude. Like, I can hardly run a 5K. I'm pathetic. I have incredible respect for these people. And as a woman, I know how hard it is to push through your 1 week a month, through childbirth, and through all of the issues that are biologically unique to women. And so for a man to just randomly wake up one day and be like, oh yeah, I'm a woman and I'm going to tell you all about it and what it's like and how to be and what to do and invade all of your spaces, absolutely not, under no circumstances. And, you know, last week I started thinking that I've seen this once before. This is reminiscent to me of the civil war in Rwanda between the Hutus and the Tutsis.
Okay.
And I can't remember off the top of my head. I studied this back in college, the Rwandan Civil War and the Truth and Reconciliation Committee that came thereafter. One of them, right, one of those groups, either the Hutus or the Tutsis, I cannot recall which, was a substantial minority in the country, and the other one was a substantial majority. What had happened was colonialists or other nations with interest in robbing the minerals and the natural resources of the nation of Rwanda, they empowered the minority to rule over the majority. And it created such division among the people of Rwanda that it broke out into a wicked civil war that resulted, it was fought a lot with hatchets and axes, which is interesting and horrific. And so a lot of people lost their limbs. And so I'm looking at this situation in the US, and what I am seeing is our corporate oligarchy knowingly and intentionally empowering a substantial minority. And when I say that, I mean, like, it's just like you said, it's like the 1%.
0.%. It's not even the 1%. It's like 0.1%.
Yes, exactly. Such an incredible, like, minuscule of a minority, and empowering them over a huge majority. And now we're beginning to see backlash, whiplash. I know the sales of Bud Light, or just Bud beer, Bud Light beer, have gone down 50%. I know that the other Anheuser-Busch products have been impacted by around 30%. Do they care enough? Will this make a difference? Maybe not, because these companies are multinational and they are getting incredible revenue sources elsewhere.
So my question is, what do you think the ultimate goal is of these multinationals? What are they trying to achieve here?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of these gargantuan multinationals, when you see what their ownership is, and I know Robert Kiyosaki's been talking about this a lot lately, and that is the overwhelming majority of these mega mammoth corporations that we have are owned by the same 6 groups, right, and also by BlackRock and Vanguard. And so you have BlackRock and Vanguard, they, by the way, they also own each other. So you get, you know, even a smaller centralized control. And so all of our media companies are owned by the same groups. All of our mega corporations are owned by the same groups. And when I say own, I mean like voting power, directors and officers, right? So the individuals who have the power to determine what that company is going to do. And so what we are seeing is the manifestation of equity, diversity, and inclusion as sort of the Main Street label that satisfies ESG, which is environmental social governance. That is the new social credit system that is being mandated, sort of projected from the World Economic Forum. This is not a conspiracy theory. You already know this, CB.
Yep.
It's publicly available. If anybody just wants to take 5 minutes on their coffee break, go to the WEF website, click around. It's all there. Lots of reports, the agenda. They've stated it loud and clear. This is what their plan is. And it's going to be rolled out in tandem with social credit scores. And so I think that they are testing the network, right? Testing the people for social weaknesses. And then they're going to go back and they're going to fill in those holes. So they see now that, you know, they've gone too far by launching both the Anheuser-Busch and the Nike campaign in the same week. Otherwise, it may have gone under the radar, but it caught everybody's attention. And so they're like, all right, they probably won't do that again. But the CBDCs are coming. The social credit scores are coming. the ESG, they're pushing it. And the only way I think, I'm watching France to see if they're going to have any success in like pivoting Macron.
Right.
And if you'll notice, the only place you can find anything at all about the protests in France is TikTok. And of course, that's the one social media platform the U.S. Congress wants to ban.
Right. Under the, what's the act?
The Restrict Act.
The Restrict Act, yeah. God, man, I just feel sorry for a couple groups. I feel sorry for black males like myself, because now I'm not even a talking point. I'm so far down on the totem pole. Now, it used to be like women's rights, right? And getting some equality there. And now they've just taken it a step further. Now women don't matter. It's about...
We don't even exist.
Yeah, you don't exist.
We don't even, forget about not mattering. We're not even recognized as like a separate and distinct biological group.
Right.
When you think about that, they put a Supreme Court justice woman on the bench and she couldn't define a woman. So
yeah, the black lady, right? Was it the black lady that did?
Is she black? I
thought she was. I know what you're talking about.
It was the same thing with Kamala Harris, and she's running around and talking about herself and saying, I'm a black woman and I'm vice president. And I'm like, but are you? Because you don't even recognize women. So you can't have it both ways.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't be the first female vice president and then in the same breath tell me there's no such thing as a woman.
Right. It seems like mass hysteria, mass psychosis, like an MK Ultra. I personally really started noticing it during COVID. Like the mass psychosis that's going on is just so weird. And I really don't know where we go from here. You've even got Caitlyn Jenner saying, okay, guys, enough is enough. Caitlyn Jenner used to be a man. I don't even know. There are so many different sex groups now. I don't know what Caitlyn calls herself. I'm not sure, but he or she's saying it's enough.
Yeah,
okay, yeah. We can't have this. Is going way too far, and I agree, and I just don't know where it stops.
That video there, that one, that's when I
boils your skin.
That was it.
It gets under your skin, huh?
That was it. That was my line.
I never even saw it. I didn't even see it, but I heard
real
about
quick?
it.
Yeah,
we can play it really quick and see what's going on.
Did it. You got to hear
Nike women.
Yeah.
Team Nike.
She's saying, I'm a girl. 100 Days of Girlhood. I'm a girl. And so that is supposed to be Nike's new female athlete spokesperson.
Wow.
And that is...
Can't even go get a real woman. Because they don't exist anymore.
Right. They don't exist. Anything goes. A big old hairy 50-year-old dude with his wanky flinging about in front of little girls and,
And that's another concern for me as a parent. I see you're a parent as well. The confusion that it creates for my kids. It makes it even more confusing or challenging for a parent like myself to explain everything, right? The birds and the bees is no longer that story. I don't even know what story I'm going to have to explain to them. It's just crazy.
Yeah. I grew up on a farm and, there's only one way that procreation happens.
Only one
naturally.
way.
Yes.
Naturally, but they're going to try to start getting rid of that or something. Make it illegal to have sex. I don't where does it stop?
It doesn't, right? Because now they're trying to normalize pedophiles by calling them minor attracted people. And
oh my God, I didn't know about this.
Oh, you did not?
No.
Well, of course, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, NAMBLA, has been around for quite some time. You'd be surprised about the crazy fringe things I know about from my days in criminal defense, right?
Oh, right.
You'd be surprised like how
Yeah.
far into the cave system, into the dark I can go. So yeah, the North American Man Boy Love Association has been around for quite a while, and they are strong advocates for pedophilia. And now, of course, we're seeing it kind of like squish out in some of the universities and squish out now in some childhood education and our public school systems, where they are teaching that it is okay for adults to be sexually attracted and to have relationship with children. And it's so deviant, perverted, and
Yeah.
filthy. It makes me, it makes me want to do things which could land me in jail. And I think
Right.
that's the point, right? And that
Correct.
kind of
Correct.
circles us back to the whole who to
ESG, social
be.
credit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. To
Yeah.
break American society, because for decades, the strength of the American economy and the culture of the American people is what prevented the rollout and integration of anything like this worldwide in the past. So there's been an agenda. We know there's an agenda. There was the 2020 agenda, and then there was the I think it's the 2030 agenda, and now we have the 2050 agenda, because they're not meeting their agenda goals, largely because you've got this mega mammoth global economy influencer of the United States of America and the strength of the will and the morale of our people that said, we want freedom. WEF wants us to own nothing and be happy with that. But the American people said, are you crazy? We have constitutional rights to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, property, freedom of speech, those sorts of things. We've been standing in the way, and they had to break us. And to do that, right, when you read Mein Kampf, which I haven't, but I've heard enough academics talk about it.
The Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a step-by-step tutorial on how to break a society, a strong society.
We've
And
been broken. I'm thoroughly convinced it's already done.
you start with the children.
Yeah, it's already
And
done.
that's what they've been doing in our school systems, and that's why they are targeting them with confusion about their identity, about their bodily integrity. There are a lot of things that we can do with gender dysphoria. I mean, I got to tell you, I was so horrifically tortured and bullied almost to suicide when I was a teenager. Had there been something like transgendered available to me, I might have done something like that in an act of confusion and desperation for
because you just don't know. Yeah, you don't know at a kid. Your mind hasn't developed enough, especially as a male. Our brain doesn't develop, I forgot what part of the brain, until we're almost 30.
Yeah.
So you want to make me as a teenage boy or younger feel like I want to be a girl? Okay. All right.
Yeah, they're
anyhow
easily influenced.
Easily
influenced. There is an abundance of medical evidence that discusses, sort of like the sponginess and the moldability, like Play-Doh, of a child's brain, and how you can, influence that child well into adulthood. And
I don't know if it's the hippocampus. It's one of the regions, especially in a male, doesn't fully develop until it's 30.
Yeah, well, can't see around corners, right? So it's the ability it's the inability to appreciate risk.
Right. Yes, definitely.
And that's why you recruit younger men to join the military.
For the army. Yep. Yeah, it's so true. Like, I didn't, man, the things I look back on that I did, I'm like, God, I had like you said, I just didn't have the ability to assess risk at all. It's
can't
crazy.
see around corners. You just can't. That part of your brain hasn't developed, and so they're very
and so
impressionable.
I mean, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with this, but I think, do we need a restructuring of the judicial system? Because a lot of the young males, especially black males, but males in general, they're being locked up for things they've done in their teens, early 20s. And are they fully developed to understand what's going on? I don't know. That's a
There
whole
are
nother
some
conversation.
very easy things that we can do. I've talked to other people about this, right? It's a passion subject of mine. When I was a public defender, I literally represented thousands of defendants because I had the largest criminal docket in the judicial circuit of 5 counties in Southwest Florida. And so I was regularly arraigning 600 criminal defendants on a 7-week cycle. So that's just a little under 100 a week, right? Files. And I got so good at it. I could just whip open a file, take a look at the police report, and tell them instantly whether or not, there was sufficient details for them to move forward, right? The prosecution, whether or not they should accept a plea. I mean, I had the code memorized at some point, right? I knew exactly, I could tell you Florida statutes 812 dot, whatever, subsection 3A. It's like, it was crazy. And so I knew exactly what was going on. And so in that process, I got very, very familiar with the criminal justice systems. One, to just kind of bring it on home to everyone that I think everyone can relate to, one of the penalties, right, that they hand out for crime is to suspend your driver's license all over the country, not just in Florida, but in, everywhere. They're like, hey, if you don't pay this fine, if you don't pay this court cost, if you don't do this, that, or the other, your driver's license is suspended. And so then the challenge is that most of this country, over 90% of this country, doesn't have meaningful public transportation. Right. In Southwest Florida, there's zero public transportation. Where I live right now outside of Orlando, zero public transportation. I mean, zero. So what you're basically is doing is you're impoverishing this individual and saying you can't even drive back and forth to work. If we catch you driving, it's like, well, what do you want me to do? Like sit and pick grass? Like how the hell ride a bike? My job is 20 miles away. Well, you should have thought about that beforehand. You're going to have to call a friend. Let me tell you, my friend CB, I was a single mom when I was doing this as a public defender. So I would have gotten my driver's license suspended. I mean, I was alone, completely alone.
You would have had to just drive. You would have had to take that risk.
I had no family. I had no anyone. I was completely alone with 2 kids for years, and zero public transportation. And by divorce decree, I was trapped. I couldn't leave Lee and Collier County. So can you imagine if my driver's license was suspended? How am I going to get my kid back and forth to daycare? How am I going to get to my job? And so driver's licenses are suspended for everything. I don't know, who necessarily our audience is out there, but, a lot of people can be pretty uppity about this. Driver's license are suspended for failure to pay child support. Driver's license are suspended because you get too many traffic tickets and maybe they blew off your car and you didn't know about it. Driver's license are suspended, because of points.
Parking tickets.
Yeah.
Parking tickets. That's happened to me. My license was suspended because of parking tickets. I didn't know. And actually a few of them were, Detroit Parking Authority is a little shady because they'll give you tickets, not even put it on the windshield. So they've given me tickets I never even knew.
So it racks up. Yep.
And it racks up.
I completely believe you. I've seen all kind of stuff happen. Driver's license are one of the very first things that happens to you as an American or, in the country. That's the very first thing that'll happen to you. If we would knock that shit off, that would make a major, major difference, because you are guaranteeing cycle after cycle of poverty, and people out of desperation drive and they get caught. And then next thing you know, right, now you've got a couple of misdemeanors. And then if you get caught so many times within a period of years, then, then it increases and it could eventually make its way up to a felony. And so when we think about people being in the system, rotating in the criminal justice systems, there are very simple things that we can do to tweak our criminal codes to level the playing field, because suspending driver's licenses is hurting a lot of people, and then you're guaranteeing they can't pay their court costs, they can't pay their, probation officer, they can't pay whatever fine they have in the courthouse, they can't pay those damn parking tickets because they can't freaking go anywhere. It's self-defeating. Knock it off. But you know what? It keeps a huge class of people nice and poor to serve the rich folk. And it just drives me crazy. That's another thing that just, gets under my skin and burns me up. It's injustice.
It is, man. I'm very disappointed in this country, and I think I hit rock bottom with this one here. The Trump. Well, this is actually something else I didn't even know about until today. I didn't realize about this, but
Scroll slowly. What's it say?
Yeah, so evidently Trump's got another trial for defamation and sexual battery, which was from a lady who came forward while he was president and said that he raped her in the mid-1990s.
Well, you know what? The statute of limitations is passed. I don't want to hear about it then.
But the thing is, the statute of limitation is passed on the indictment from Bragg's, right?
Yeah, this is corruption.
How does this go through? But how does this go through?
This is corruption. And here's what I've been seeing. And I got to tell you, man, like I went for my walk today. Like I'm having a really crappy emotional day, honest to God, because like I'm discouraged.
Yeah. I feel you.
Discouragement just kind of like hit me today. And you know what? I didn't even like watch the news or TikTok or anything this morning. And I thought I'm going to get out there. I'm going to do the walk. I've got to be healthy. I got to be strong. And I was just like, but why? Everything's going to hell in a handbasket. The corruption. There is a lack of accountability. And so we are seeing a boldness. These people have become emboldened. And there is a huge lack of accountability. And so for all the MAGA fans out there, Trump's campaign was, I'm going to drain the swamp. But I didn't see him drain a thing for the entire time that he was in office. My mother, she's one of those people who's like, Trump is the savior. She's like total extremist. And, I was just like, all right, Mom. So the swamp wasn't drained. There was zero accountability the entire time that he was in there. So, and then, her excuse is, they wouldn't let him. And I'm like, what do you mean they wouldn't let him? He couldn't do it.
You know what he did, right?
What did he do?
He angered the swamp. That's what he did.
It's like a freaking hornet.
He grew the swamp higher. I mean,
but it's maniacal laughter because I'm so upset.
Yeah.
I'm so upset. And Americans are homeless, and Americans are hungry, and Americans are addicted. And then I learned that this whole thing, with the opioid crisis is apparently payback from China. And I'm like,
payback I heard that theory.
You hear that too?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do we do? Whatever it is, I believe it. Because we are, oh my God, did you see yesterday the news came out that we're sending special forces to Ukraine?
No. So it's a full-on war then, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's over. We're in war with Russia. And, of course, we've picked the fight with China over Taiwan. So now we're, pretty much at war with China. And then some dumbass in Congress, you have to forgive my French, right? I'm really upset today. Some dumbass in Congress was saying something about how we need to bomb Mexico.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that happened like a week ago. I was
it's
like,
I'm just seeing the demise of America, United States of America. I think it's over, Anessa. I really do.
I'm looking at where to move. Like, I'm not kidding. This morning, while, after my little exercise and, I was getting ready and doing the makeup and things like that, I had on the Nomad Capitalist. Have you heard of that guy, the Nomad Capitalist on YouTube?
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, all right, who am I?
Yeah, he shows you how to. He has a whole rundown on how to get another passport and all that stuff. Yes. Oh, of course, CB is on it.
Yeah, right. So I opened my YouTube app and I'm like, all right, what am I going to listen to today to distract myself from the nightmare of hair and makeup, right? Just like,
yeah.
So, and I saw, why did I leave the U.S. or something like that? Why I live overseas.
Mm.
And then it's in big red and white letters, why I left, right? And I saw his face, and I'm like, yeah, I want to hear why you left.
Yeah.
And I listened to it, and I was like,
yeah, he left a few years ago. If you're talking about the actual guy,
yeah,
yeah, he left many years ago.
Yeah.
Coolio, famous rapper, comes to find out. Yeah, he's gone, but the toxicology came back and he died from fentanyl. So it was an accidental death. Not saying that, I don't think he should be doing heroin and whatever anyhow. That's not cool. But heroin and methamphetamines, but it had fentanyl in it, and that's what he died from. So they're killing us left and right. It's out of control. It's out of control. Let me ask you this, though, before we move into the crypto, heavy. What does this indictment mean? Is it going to have any legs, this Trump indictment? Or is it dead on arrival?
I hesitated, right? Because I was going to say to you, I don't see how it can have legs, right? Because of the statute of limitations. But then I had to pause and be like, unless somebody like Alvin Bragg's going to bring it and he doesn't give a flying flat rat about the law. And that's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing this in multiple cities throughout America where we get this Soros-funded district attorneys that say, who's going to stop me? Who is going to stop me? And then, of course, there was a congressional investigation into Alvin Bragg, and I can't remember the congressperson that started.
Oh, yeah. I've got that up now. I've actually got that up now. So it's a standoff between Jim Jordan. So Jim Jordan, I actually had this up so crazy you brought this up because I was going to ask you, what does this mean? I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand what's going on. How is Bragg suing Jim Jordan? What the hell is going on?
So you got to remember that in this country, you can indict a ham sandwich. The level of proof that you have to bring criminal charges is practically nothing. So it's actually called probable cause, right? So we've got this legal phrase that to bring criminal charges or to bring an indictment against someone, you need to have probable cause. And the definition of probable cause is something more than a scintilla, right? That's actually case law, that either a crime has been committed, is being committed, or is about to be committed imminently. So just more than a scintilla. What's a scintilla? Like a grain of sand. A grain of sand.
Okay.
So people are like...
But in Trump's situation, Anessa, it's on something that has or had happened, but the had happened is outside the statute. It's
outside the statute of limitations, and it wasn't a crime. And people are like, because you know what? I posted this on TikTok, and then I got all of these comments back about, well, he was indicted, so obviously he did something wrong, and that's what
they want you. That's what they want the sheeple to think.
Exactly. And that goes right back to your whole, there's too many black men in jail, to which I completely agree, right? Yeah. And again, it's because people don't understand that we're talking about something more than a grain of sand to go ahead and bring criminal charges against somebody, right? To sustain a criminal case against somebody. And when it comes to the statute of limitations, that's already passed. So Alvin Bragg is he is arguing that the statute of limitations was told, which is a fancy word for stopped, and that the clock didn't keep ticking to run out the statute of limitations. He's bringing an argument about that, which I think is a BS argument. And then when you take a look at having that, what is the probable cause here? Because everybody is saying, but Alvin, this is pointless anyway because you can't prove it. And he says, I don't care. So this is a miscarriage of justice. Obviously, you and I are not gigantic Trump fans, but that's not what this is about. This is about justice, because let me tell you, folks, if they can do this against a former sitting president, nobody's going to bat an eyelash to do it to you. And
exactly.
That's what freaks me out.
That's what I felt.
It's the death of the rule of law. It's the death of justice. Black men, white women, green and purple polka dotted, everybody needs to be freaking out everywhere, because if you piss off the wrong person, your ass is grass. And this is what really freaks me out about this, because under the law, they can't sustain this. But Alvin Bragg says, I don't care about the law. Where does he get off? where does he get off being so arrogant? He's backed by Soros.
Right.
How is it that we have permitted all of these foreign interests to come and invest in our elections, invest in our infrastructure, invest in our justice system? This is a violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. It is. This is a violation of federal law, and there needs to be a warrant for the arrest of George Soros and every other foreigner who is bribing U.S. officials. This is a violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. This is bribery. There's no two ways about it. But again, there is zero accountability. No one was charged. Nobody's in jail. There is no such thing as treason. Anything goes. It's total chaos.
To put the icing on the cake, so I am a Trump fan, but I'm not like a MAGA diehard, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm not like your mom. I'm not like your mom. Like Trump is Jesus 2.0. Nah, he ain't come to save us, Mom. Sorry, Mama Santos. It ain't happening. It's not happening. But while all this is going on, one more thing, and I don't really consider myself a Republican, but I do lean right. We've got the Supreme. Now they're trying to come out, and I don't really even like this guy, Clarence Thomas. I'm not a huge fan of him, but now they're trying to go after him. He's a Republican, right? Or
yeah,
I think
if I remember correctly, and I might remembering this incorrectly, because like you said, it's a whole new planet, and I'm starting to get my stuff confused, and I have to go back and double check things all the time. But if I remember correctly, he voted that abortion should be a state decision, a decision left up to the states, and now they're coming after him.
Well, yeah, but this is something very recent. They're trying to go after him for accepting funds from this billionaire guy.
Why now?
Exactly. Why now? Because they're trying to hit all the Republicans all at once. It's an onslaught to just get the sheeple to think that, you know what it is? It's really to keep your attention off of Joe Biden, his son, Ukraine, all of that. That's what it is, in my opinion. That's what it is.
Here it is. Yeah. I think he wrote the opinion remember we visited the Roe v. Wade case, and
Roe v. Wade, yeah.
He made all the Democrats really, really mad. So they've been digging all this time. They've been digging dirt. They found it. Now they're launching it. And, know,
I'm as mad at the Republicans as I am the Democrat, because they're weak. They're acting like punks.
This is a show. We're spectators in a show, unwilling participants. It's like, stop the ride. I want to get off. Where are we going? What country are we moving to?
I don't know. I'm still looking. I'm looking at a couple countries in Africa, but listen,
are you? Which ones?
Ghana.
Okay.
I'm hearing Ghana's very, very good for
Tell
business
me
and everything. Just for business. So there are a couple that I'm looking at, but I'm kind of scared to leave my family. I'm really family oriented, like not just my immediate family, but just my whole family. We're all pretty close, so it's a little challenging for me.
Mm-hmm.
But let's move on.
Okay.
Trump or DeSantis for 2024? Because I like what. If you were a Republican, let me phrase it that way. If you were a Republican, because I don't want to. If you were a Republican, would it be Trump or DeSantis for 2024?
I prefer DeSantis.
Okay.
I do. Okay. And the reason why I prefer DeSantis is because I think that he and Trump, they share very similar policies. But I think that the delivery that DeSantis delivers is more palatable. See, so like you, I'm not a Trump hater. I actually enjoy and agree with many, albeit not all, but many of Trump's policies. I just really think he needs to work on his delivery because it's not very diplomatic.
Wouldn't it be great to have a Trump merge with an Obama?
Oh, well, I think that's what DeSantis is.
That's what DeSantis is?
That's my opinion. You can I mean, if you're like, no, I don't think so, I'd be interested.
No, I'm just curious. Like, I like what he's doing. We're going to talk about this next. What your governor did with fighting against this CBDC thing. I want to get your opinion on that. I heard you were very excited about that. You were willing to drop everything for that. So I don't know. Like, I just feel like DeSantis may be too much of a nice guy. And like Trump said, not wealthy enough to not be bought. I feel like once he gets in office, he'll comply. He'll bend to one side or the other. Where Trump, we know Trump, narcissistic ass, gonna do what he wants to do. And you can't change that.
That's true.
So that's my only concern with DeSantis. I think at the governing level, at the state level, he's been great. I love Florida. I want to actually move there, but you said you're leaving, so I gotta change my strategy. So what's your take on this CBDC? And I like to see states starting to do this. And this is why we're United States. We're not all one conglomerate. So what's your take? I think there was another state that was looking at doing this. Was it Texas as well? Some other state was trying to ban CBDCs as well.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we've got this anti-CBDC bill, and it's kind of like a big fat nothing burger. When you study it, when you look at it, you know, I was asked to review it and provide my comments, and my only comment was about a comma that I think that we need. I was concerned about the modifying phrase could be.
Oh my God! It wasn't in ADA format. It wasn't in the prompt whatever format.
No, there was a sentence, and there was like a couple of commas in this sentence that breaks it up, right? And then I was like, okay, so does it modify what's coming?
Oh my God.
Modify what comes for? And so I think that we need to reposition the commas to eliminate this ambiguity. Because if I think it's ambiguous, then it is ambiguous, because it means anybody could think it was ambiguous. The fact that anybody, so when you craft language as a lawyer, right? It's why people get really pissed off at us. But this is real, because there is a case out of Canada.
Legalese, right? It's called legalese.
Well, legalese is
no
something different, right?
Oh, okay.
But,
all right.
There's this case out of Canada where a comma cost a telco company $1 million. Right? The comma was placed in the contract, and due to the misplacement of the comma, it resulted in a
my
loss.
God.
So I was looking at this, and I'm like, I'm not loving this comma. I'm not. I think we've got to move.
Wow.
But I like the anti-CBDC bill because it doesn't hurt anything, but it sends a very clear message of les résistants, right? This is la resistance. It's that here in the state of Florida, for the people of Florida, we're not going to go along with this plan. And the plan is to give the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, which is today comprised of only 6 individuals, more power. And this is insane. This is insanity. Because when you think about it, the US dollar, as we stand here today, is still the world's reserve currency, but that's changing, and it's going to change because the BRICS nations, they're putting their plan together, and it's going to happen.
China and Russia just signed a deal together.
Yeah. It's going to happen, right? They signed the deal, you know, they've got the network in testing, and it's going to be rolled out, and then yada yada. So that's happening. But right now, US dollar, world reserve currency. The reason why our debt doesn't matter is because we can just print money to pay off our own debt. That's why nobody ever gave a flying flat rat. Now the idea, the Federal Reserve, right, the Board of Governors of 6 controls all the monetary policy for the planet then. For the planet, for the freaking planet.
Yeah, true.
Then you get the input from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, the input of the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and then the input of 4 other presidents of the 11 other bank branches. And so now you're up to 12. So 12 people, a committee of 12, which are easily identifiable and manipulated by other folks around the world, by the big power brokers. This is who's really running the show here. those 12 and then the people that influence them. That's terrifying, that 12 people should have planetary control over the economic lives of, what are we now, 8 billion? I don't know. Who can count? This is insanity. The system has to be broken. The way to break the system is through the combination of a traditional precious metals based system, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, copper, etc., and combine that with the problem solving powers of decentralized blockchain. That's how you fix this. Ain't nobody gonna want that happen, and they're ready to go to World War III over it. Because they're safe. They're safe in their bunkers. They don't care.
So do you think this is going to have any legs, or what do you think it's going to at least protect the bills of Florida, or what?
Oh, no, it's not going to do anything. Even if the Florida legislature passes the bill, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do, because, you know, the Florida Senate and the Florida House are pretty much in lockstep with DeSantis. Surprisingly, I'm completely fine with that for now, right? So better a benevolent dictator than a crappy ass Democratic leader. And so I don't care what people say about DeSantis. Florida is one of the world's strongest continuing economies. Our people are safe. They have food to eat. You know, we don't have rampant homelessness.
Right. I don't really see that at all.
To live. There's opportunities abounding here. The children are being protected and grown in very healthy environments comparatively, right, to the other 49 states, not necessarily comparatively to other countries. And so I hope they do pass it, because it would demonstrate to these power brokers, these corrupt politicians in DC, that we are not going quietly into that dark night of even greater centralized control. What I would like to see happen, and what you were talking about with regards to Texas, is the adoption of a complementary currency that is based on gold and silver. Why based on gold and silver? Well, because there's this pesky little constitutional provision that states that, you know, the U.S. Federal Reserve and the central banking system have all of the control over the currency that's in the fiat currency that's going to be forced down the throats of the American people, but that the states have the constitutional power to maintain gold and silver as a means of payments for transactions and for debts and obligations.
Oh man, wouldn't that be awesome to see, like, Texas do that? That would be a game changer, and it would set a precedent, I think, that will allow other states to kind of feel like they can go ahead with it as well.
Well, they do, right? Utah, Wyoming, New Hampshire, Nevada, 3 off the top of my head, New Hampshire, Wyoming, Utah, have implemented statutes years ago guaranteeing the right of the people to trade in gold and silver. Now, if you compare Utah and Wyoming, because I just did this a week ago, I was in the Utah statute. What I don't like about it is that it says that the gold and silver has to come from a U.S. mint. I don't like that, because what the hell's the point then? Now all of a sudden the Federal Reserve's got all the control again, because they decide, you know, who gets the minting license. Wyoming, on the other hand, leaves it up. They leave it ambiguous. They don't say anything about you. They don't say anything about where you got to source your gold and silver.
Interesting.
So that's, I like
good
that.
Insight. That's good insight. Okay. I think my viewers will definitely love that. I know I didn't know anything about that, so that's great. So those 3 states, and hopefully Texas joins. And
they're doing their statute that's up for vote is a gold-backed digital currency. And I haven't read the proposed legislation. Honestly, I haven't read it. And what I imagine it says, based upon the few blips I've read about it, I imagine that what it wants to do is custody gold and silver in a big vault and then issue digital currency. So it would basically be a gold stable coin is what I'm guessing, without having looked further into this. And I don't love that. I think it's a temporary fix, and the reason why is because it requires, first of all, it doesn't do anything about the financial tyranny of KYC AML. So we haven't addressed that problem. The second thing that it does is it still requires folks to be included within the financial system, and they're not, right? We've got major problems with financial exclusion. And the third problem that I have with it is that it exists only in digital form. And so there are many, many places in the US that doesn't have access to internet. Like my parents' home where I was born and raised, and they still live there. There is no freaking internet. I mean, honest to God, there's not. Nobody will bring it. And this is, and I thought about this for a while because I've been thinking to myself, well, just exactly how it is that these elite megalomaniacs think that they're going to shove everybody into 15-minute cities. And then it came to me a couple of weeks ago. I was just driving around and I got lost coming home from doing a podcast. I got lost on my way home and I had to go like in a circle. And while I was in the circle, I said, oh my God, now I know how they're going to do it. They're going to create this digital only financial system, and you have to participate or you can't go to the store and buy groceries. And it's going to force people to move to where they have sufficient connectivity so that they can eat.
That's crazy. Well, they could leverage Starlink or whatever, right?
Do you see his rockets are falling out of low Earth orbit?
No. Wow. That's not by mistake. And I'm
No,
sure it's Russia. Listen, I'm sure it's Russia too that's doing it.
Hold on, I need to go get my aluminum foil and
Yeah, we gotta put the tinfoil in. I don't know if you heard Tucker asked Donald Trump who blew up the pipeline. Did you see that clip?
I listened to it today. I was like, oh, Trump.
He said it without saying it, but he kind of said it. You know,
He said
crazy.
it.
He said it. He literally said it. Like, and that's the narcissistic in him, though, right? He can't not be like, yeah, I got the inside on it. I'm gonna tell you.
Listen,
I can't tell you, but I'm gonna tell you anyway.
I'm embarrassed to say this out loud. I'm gonna announce this on your podcast.
Here we go, ladies and gents.
Trump's interview with Tucker has me rethinking my thoughts on Trump.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm a Trump fan. I am. I'm wholeheartedly through and through, and people know it. It's just that I'm not the person that thinks that he's a savior, because the man, I'm just learning the deep state is deep. It's deep. It goes beyond borders. It's not just here in the United States. It's a whole network. And so it's no way one guy for 2 terms can do anything if he even wanted to. It's not going to happen. So we got to take a different approach at trying to fix these issues, which it's like David and Goliath at this point. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll see. The one thing I'm going to say about DeSantis, I don't want to sound ageist here, being an ageist or anything, but I think him being younger is a plus. That's the one thing I like. I'm getting sick of all of these 78, 80-year-old people running the show. They're so out of touch.
It's
you
so,
know,
oh my
and
God,
that's
did you see them question the CEO of TikTok? You didn't see that? You didn't see Congress question the CEO of TikTok?
Oh yeah, the US CEO?
Yes.
Yeah. I saw a couple snippets, but what did you grab from that?
It was the staggering incompetency of the members of Congress to even grasp the most basic fundamentals of networking and how an app operates through a mobile device and connects to a network, the difference between cellular connectivity versus Wi-Fi, and it was just oh my God, you just need to stop talking. You're so staggeringly incompetent. You have zero business even.
And we're in a day and age where technology is king. Technology is critical in most decision makings. And so we have a Congress and a Senate that's just out of touch. We got a Treasury president or whatever her
Secretary
title is.
Yellen.
Secretary Yellen. She's about to croak like she's having speech pathology issues. It's like, come on, people.
I don't understand.
We got to do better.
I don't understand. It's because like we don't have an actual choice.
Yeah.
And I think that these Congress people are so stuck up their own butts. Their heads are so far up their own butts.
Yeah.
And they don't understand. They don't understand the damage that this is doing to international relations, to our diplomacy on the global stage. Because when like Macron looks at that and sees, and he made fun of us. The rest of the planet, Iran, oh my God, Iran was making fun of Congress and the dumbass questions, the interrogations of the TikTok CEO. They're all laughing at us. And
yeah,
it's like,
everyone is laughing at us, and
like,
we don't even know.
Well,
we're so hubris.
We know because you can see them, like you can see the leader of Iran, and you can see Macron, and you can see Xi Jinping from China, and they're talking Russia. Oh my God, Vladimir Putin. They're all coming out with public statements on their own news media, and they're talking about our congressional interrogation of the CEO of TikTok and what a laughingstock we are. And this is a big deal because you know what? Again, it emboldens them. It emboldens them to continue with their plans, to grow their own countries without consideration being given to the United States being a global player. They're laughing at our military. They're quickly dividing our interest by forcing us to fight wars on multiple fronts, which was entirely foreseeable. And we're going to be cut off at the knees. And for arrogant Americans, I know some of these people, and even my colleagues, and I talked to them, and I said, listen, Russia and China are coming to get us. And that is never going to happen. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe like the faces that they make. And they're like, that's never going to happen. We're the best. We have the world's strongest military, the world's strongest this, that, and the other. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what decade are you living in, honey? That is over.
It's the wrong decade. Yeah, that rhetoric is old. Because it's not about military kinetic war anymore, per se. It's more about we're in the electronic world. We're in the digital world. So we're so behind China. They're on 6G now. They're not even on 5. Yeah, they're on 6G now.
Really?
Networks.
Did they make the switch?
Yep.
So
yeah, it's as much as I don't like the communist regime and all of that, it's working. They're getting ahead. They're making way more strides and progress than we are here in America. So it's just very sad, man. Very sad. I'm gonna have Anessa come back on, guys, to talk further about crypto, and we didn't get a lot into it. I want to get her thoughts on the FTX situation and everything. If you want to just quickly throw your updates out there from your assessment of what's going on, that would be great if you have time.
Okay, this morning I wasn't even awake. The first thing I do when I wake up is I stare at my phone to try and peel my eyeballs open and make them stay open. So I opened up my LinkedIn app, and staring back at me was some article that one of my connections on LinkedIn had posted, and it was a super creepy picture of SBF like holding a blue jewel, and I noticed that he had like pointy manicure, and the title said something to the effect of how all the like hundreds of billions of dollars have been recovered and they're thinking of relaunching FTX. That's what I saw, and then I said, no, it's too early for this, just no, and I threw the phone away.
Yeah, Ren Protocol transferred all their assets back to FTX debtors. So I saw the token make an 80% move off this news, I believe. But there's no way he would be involved in this. And then I did see this a few weeks ago. SBF set to deny alleged China bribe. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah.
He was bribing them for $40 million to funnel money over there or something.
Well, first
this
of all,
guy's he's going under the jail, do you think?
The Chinese don't need his $40 million.
No.
That's Like, that is nothing to them. That is peanuts. And again, do I believe it? Well, I mean, as a person and not as a lawyer, I totally believe it. As a lawyer, I have to say, well, it's mainstream media and they're going to say anything. And what's the evidence for that? But as a human, taking off my lawyer hat, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds absolutely like something that SBF would do. That is completely within his character.
Yeah. And it's a way for our media to wrap China up into this and make them look like the bad guy, right? Involve them into this.
I want to talk about China and finance in CZ because I called it and I got whiplash for it when I did, and I was right.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. I'll have you back on in a few weeks and talk about, maybe we'll have even more news about what's going on. They're really clamping down on, the US is really attacking Binance, so we'll see. Again, guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and also follow. I'll have all of Anessa's information in the description of this video, so please definitely go follow her. She's very active on LinkedIn. Follow her on Twitter. I'll have all that information in the description of this video. It's your boy Crypto Blood, and that's another Kick in the Session. We out of here. Holla!